Welcome to Up on Game presents Taylor Scouting. Coach Randy Taylor is bringing his 40-plus years of knowledge to you. This is Taylor Scouting. And now, here's Coach Randy Taylor.
Hey, folks, we are back with another show, another episode of Taylor Scouting podcast on the Up on Game network. Up on Game presents Taylor Scouting podcasts. And I'm Coach Randy Taylor, 40 plus years in college football, UCLA, Minnesota, Illinois, and the UNLV running Rebels. We're going to talk to a Rebel here in a second. My background is evaluating and coordinating recruiting. I've coached. I've done all this stuff that gives me a background that can help educate you folks on the process of recruiting, on college football, on high school football, on whatever the topic is. And just follow us as well on and subscribe to Up on Game Presents on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Rate us and review us, please. Follow us on your social platforms by searching the Up on Game network. You can also follow me on R. Taylor FB Scout on Twitter. All right, man. We got this done. We got full episodes of Taylor Scouting on YouTube as well. Okay, so that's the business part I had to get out of the way. Now I am fired up to bring in one of my favorite Rebels. Marguet Miller is the head coach at LA Southwest College. Played at UNLV. He was there. I got to know him first in 1985. He was a tight end at UNLV, and it's just one of the better guys. And you had some guys with you on those teams, right? I mean, this is a group of players that did a lot of good things. So I'm going to have you talk about Marguet Miller. I'm going to have you talk a little bit about your progression through football, your high school, and so on, and give us some of your background.
Okay, I'll do that. And before I start, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. During this last month or so, getting over to LA Southwest, I had an opportunity to reflect on everybody that's helped me as a player, recruiting, coach, or helped me in this process. And I've been on a thank you tour. So I want to thank you for being a part of my maturation into adulthood, and as a player and as a coach, with your time when you came over to UNLV. I really appreciate that. And thank you. And yeah, for me, the journey started. I grew up in Inglewood, California. I mean, it started when I was 8 years old when I played Pop Warner football. And through Pop Warner football, I ended up going to Sarah High School, Father Nipro Sarah High School. And at that time, I was recruited by several schools, and I decided to go to the UNLV. Coach Ron Mims, who you may know, he actually recruited me, and he was actually a coach at LA Southwest at one point when I was a kid. He and my uncle were roommates at Washington State, and my uncle hired him. And I had a chance to talk to Ron Mims 1 week before he passed away to thank for everything that he did for me. But I played at UNLV, and after my time at UNLV, suffered a few injuries, managed through it, and I played in the inaugural season of NFL Europe. At the time, it was World League American Football. And I played that 1 year, ended up suffering an injury, and had a chance to come back the next year, but I started coaching. And once I started coaching at Warren High School in 1992, I never wanted to do anything else with my life but to coach. Actually, a gentleman, my best friend, brought me into coaching. We were teaching at Juvenile Hall together, Ben Rivera, and he since passed away during the pandemic, but we coached together nearly 30 years at 5 different schools. And it's safe to say, without him and others, but he was integral part, because he saw something in me I didn't see in myself to become a coach. And this is my 30th year coaching, where I spent 1 year at Warren High School as defensive coordinator, Marshall Fundamental High School in Pasadena as a head coach, and then I went off to coaching collegiate. So 3 different stints over a 10-year period at Mount Sac as a recruiting coordinator, defensive line coach, and finished up there as offensive coordinator. I spent 2 different stints for 3 years at East LA College as offensive coordinator, 2 years at Pasadena offensive coordinator. I served as a tight end coach at Fresno State University, coached at LA Southwest 1 year as a coordinator, but I spent the last 15 years at West Los Angeles College as the head coach. 14 seasons, 1 year off because of the pandemic. But I'm proud of what we've done. 220 scholarships in 14 years, over 100 former players with a college degree from a 4-year university, either master's, bachelor's, or a PhD. I have all the kids' pictures in a scrapbook now. I took it off the wall when I went to Southwest. And now I'm taking on a new challenge here at LA Southwest. Just been named coach, but things are looking good. Recruiting's going good. The players are great. The players are great, and I must commend the college, LA Southwest. Our president, Anthony Culpepper, Dr. Culpepper, he had faith in me as well as the other administrators. They had faith in me, and I am very appreciative. And things at Southwest is going good. Everybody has been warm and welcoming, and it's a very good college, and I want to get the word out about the college.
Yeah, we're going to give you a chance to talk a little bit because I know we were talking, you had some recruits in the office, so you said you'd get back to me. So I want to, in a little bit, I want to talk to you about your message and your recruiting and why kids should go to LA Southwest. And so that recruiting spiel, I don't know if the right, but that we'll do that in a second. The one thing I really kind of thought was cool is you're a podcast guy yourself and host a podcast about Black history. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm a connoisseur of Black history, no doubt, from when I was a child moving forward. It's interesting how I got into it. You know, when I was young, maybe 4 or 5 years old, we had a door-to-door salesman came by the house, and my mother and father, they bought a Black encyclopedia, and it kind of sat on the shelf. But as a kid, being type A personality, football player, you know, I was on punishment a lot as a kid, and I couldn't watch TV or go outside and play. So I had 2 things that I did. I listened to an oldie station, so I know all these old songs by memory, and I would go through it and I would just read the Black encyclopedia, and it stuck to me. And as a hobby, I actually read. When I'm at the gym, I actually read in between sets and when I'm doing cardio, and I really enjoy it. It's enlightening because it's some things that you didn't know about, and learning about Black history in our past, primarily before slavery, you actually get a good sense of yourself, and you actually get a good sense of everybody. And it's probably one of the best things that I've done working in a multicultural environment. It helps you love yourself, helps you love everybody. And it's just pretty rewarding because you hear about things that you never heard of. This, for example, Marion Croak, she's in the Inventors Hall of Fame, but she made it possible for us to do Zooms and have voice over internet programming. And a lot of people don't know that, but just to know that, I mean, it's good, a sense of pride, and it's something I really enjoy.
That's what I was hoping to get at. I know you're a very thoughtful person, and have had you and I've had some good conversations just sitting on the sidelines. You know I could listen to you, and you talk about kids and players and your family and all the different things. And I was hoping that we could get a little bit of time to talk about that. What's the name of the podcast?
It's I think it's titled Coach Miller, History Recovery Specialist.
Coach Miller. Say it again.
Coach Miller, History Recovery Specialist. You can actually just Google my name, Marguet Miller, Marguet Miller, podcast, and the page will pop up. It's on Anchor Podcast for sure. Great.
That's outstanding. Hey, so let's talk about the positives of junior college football. Okay, I know there's a lot of things have happened that have made it harder, but for players and high school coaches and the college coaches, Talk about the great stuff about junior college football across the United States.
Well, one thing about community college athletics, tell you only what 1% of the players were going from high school and play in college. So there's not there's not enough room for everybody to go to college. And for community college, for us, for example, yeah, we will have players that will go to Power Five conferences, Division One programs that you see on TV play. But of course, everyone is not going to go to those schools. But there are certain schools, for example, NAI programs, Division Two programs that may be in the Midwest, back east, in the northern region of the country. They will probably not come to Los Angeles for a high school kid, but they will come to Los Angeles for a community college player. So in community college, community college athletes they have a little bit more broader range of colleges they can attend.
Why do you think that is? Why is that, Marguet?
Because, for example, let's say if you're in a high school in Kansas, you're probably not going to spend the resources, which little you have, to come out to a high school in Los Angeles where you fly over several states to get here and convince a high school kid from Los Angeles to go to Middle America for any high school. It's probably not going to happen. It's probably not cost efficient. But for a community college athlete that's a little bit more mature, that you don't have to pay for them for 4 years, probably just 2 years. And you have a better chance because the high school kid, the mentality in Los Angeles, all those kids think I'm going to Division One. I'm going to the schools I see on TV, so they may not opt to want to attend an institution, maybe an NAIA program in Kansas or Texas or Missouri, et cetera, not knowing that good quality education there. So more of those colleges will come out. And usually when those colleges come out to visit, they're not going to any other high schools. They're going to other JCs. So we have a lot more options for the players. Now, also for the players, some are underachievers and some have a chance to achieve and make themselves more marketable. Some of the students may have not done as well academically, and they also have a chance to turn that around academically. And then some students, who are pretty good and also have good grades, it's just not enough room for everybody right away. And coming to community college really helps them. The transfer portal has limited some options, but kids are still getting out. I know my past year at West LA, we have 19 players. I just had a kid offered last night. We had 19 players either committed or already in school with mid-year transfers.
That's outstanding, and that is why I have always been a huge fan of junior colleges. My background at Illinois, even we played in the Rose Bowl in 1984 and had over 30 junior college players on our team, and an unbelievable group of kids.
I grew up with several of them. David and Oliver Williams went to high school. Dwight Beverly grew up in my neighborhood.
Right.
Kirby Wilson I've known since I was a kid. He went
Right.
to school with my cousins. So I was familiar with a lot of those student athletes that you had, and you actually recruited Stephen Williams, David Oliver's younger brother. I went to high school with him. And by the time he started there, you were with us at UNLV. So I was familiar with a lot of those players.
So Coach, being around all those JC kids, one thing that I found about them is they come in with a maturity level and have gone through a lot to get to that 4-year school. And I always thought that they brought a lot of character and toughness in with them to play for the 4-year school.
Yeah, I think sometimes what the dynamic what happens is sometimes the kids, while they're in high school, the parents take them to school, pick them up from practice. Once they become community college students, they're a little bit more independent. So they have to grow up a little bit faster. It's not uncommon for us to have student athletes on the team that have to work to pay their own car note, cell phone bill. So they're actually, working, maintaining a job, and taking classes because we're not scholarship schools in California. So they mature a little bit more because they're more independent. And we spend a lot of time talking to the students, about manhood and maturity. and pretty much getting them ready for what they have to get ready to take on at the next level. So those 2 years is pretty important because they start gaining their independence. And if they should stumble a little bit, it's not as detrimental if they were stumbling already at a Division I university.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what we see at the 4-year level, and what I've witnessed. But one thing I know that's happening, or I believe is happening, is what's the impact of the transfer portal on junior college players?
Well, it's a pretty good impact now. After the pandemic, when it started last year at the end of 2021 season, we kind of experienced it because in the portal, hey, you get a kid, you already got his transcripts, he's already played, he has experience. So some of the coaches are opting for the portal instead of maybe high school or junior college. And I understand. I mean, if a coach is in the third year of his contract and he has to win and get into a bowl game, he's not going to depend on a high school freshman or even a junior college transfer that may or may not become eligible. He's going to take a guy that's already played and proven and work from there. Um, but there's been some schools who have still come out to recruit. But I've told the players, I had one player, he made a good point last year. He went to the school, Division II school. They offered him, he accepted, and he told me. He said, Coach, the transfer portal is real. There's thousands of kids in the portal. He said, I'm not going to gamble with my future. I like the school, I like the opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and take it. And we stressed that this year with our players, like, hey, don't play games with these schools because they can get in the portal overnight, or somebody can come available overnight that wasn't yesterday. So if you got an opportunity, you enjoy it, you might want to take it. So I think it limits some options where a kid might have 5 schools to choose from. Now you might have 2 or 3.
Yeah, yeah, that I thought for sure that was going to be an issue. Do you get portal kids coming your way to junior college?
We get some portal kids. I might get some inquiry of students in the portal, and usually those are students that go in the portal and they don't gain any interest from any other universities or any other university that wants to give them a scholarship, and they still might have 1 or 2 years eligibility, and then they'll come back to community college.
Gotcha.
So I've had some inquiries, and I've played against some students that were in the portal.
What you had some recruits on campus the other day, and when we touched base, and what did you try to get across to them and the others looking for a junior college at LA Southwest? What do you try to, in your recruiting day, what do you try to get across to these kids?
Yeah, so usually on President's Day, bring the kids up. We had 33 uh, players, also accompanied by some of their parents and high school coaches. And what we want to do is, number one, we want to give the students a tour of the facilities. LA Southwest has a beautiful facility, and we give the students a tour of the facilities, and then have the academic counselors at 2 of them that come in and talk to the students about what's expected of them. And I had a chance. LA Southwest, they have some very good promotional videos on student life and offerings of the college. Had a chance to show the video, and I pretty much just talked to the students. Most of the students there, they all want to compete at the 4-year level and obtain a college degree. And I told them that was my specialty, helping students transfer and getting them ready for college because of our track record has been so well. I had a chance to talk to them and let them know that if you come to LA Southwest, I'm going to make sure that you get a quality education. I'm going to track and monitor what you do academically. We're not going to apologize ever for hard work or a high academic standard. And that if you want to have excellent achievement, this is the place that you want to be a part of, because we're going to make sure when you get to college that you're ready to finish off. And when you finish your university days, you should be prepared for manhood and life, and let them know that, hey, you can come to this school, you can get a quality education, and you will transfer to a university. And the school is beautiful, essentially located. So there's students that can come from all parts of LA up down the 105 freeway, the 91 freeway, even past the 605, and get to the school.
What so that's kind of your recruiting pitch. How do kids get a hold of you, Marguet, if they're interested? And what positions are you looking at? All positions. So give us first. How can they get a hold of you?
Well, it's probably best they can text me on my cell phone number. One is 562-879-6677. Also have an email address. It's in the same district, LA Southwest, in the same district of the school I transferred from. So I have the same email address, which is millerm, MILLERM at WLAC.edu. And I can also be found on Twitter at Head Coach Miller. And those are ways they can contact me.
Are there any positions you're looking for?
Well, community college, you pretty much want to be deep at all the positions. Of course, you always want to make sure you have a long snapper and a kicker. We over-recruit offensive line. Want to make sure we're real deep on the offensive line. You never have enough linemen on either side of the ball. And the skill positions are important. Wide receiver, defensive back, because that makes your special team strong. And we want to be explosive. We want a wide open offense. Running back, for sure. We always have a few running backs. You never have enough good quality quarterbacks. We pretty much need everything. But if I was in the transfer portal right now, I'd be looking for long snapper and kickers for sure, and an offensive lineman. And I think we're going to have quite a bit. We had 33 kids visit on Monday, 9 of them offensive linemen. And nice. That just puts a smile on my face.
That's great. So if I run across any long snapper or kicker, I'm going to send them your way. Now, I'm an old long snapper, but I'm not sure I got any eligibility or can bend over.
Oh, man, I love long snappers. The long snapper on my very first team at West Los Angeles, he's now my defensive line coach, and he coaches our long snappers. And I didn't teach him; he already knew how to long snap, and he's an excellent teacher. We always make sure we have 3 long snappers on the team at least.
That's smart. Hey, Marguet, it was great having you on. I really appreciate you, Marguet Miller, head football coach at LA Southwest. Hey, go Cougars, brother.
I appreciate it. Like I said, thank you for everything that you've ever done for me when I was at UNLV, the mentorship, the coaching. Thanks for all the time and all the times I bugged you by coming to UCLA, wanting to watch practice and everything. Well, I really appreciate that. And, I can't thank you enough. And like I said, go Cougars. LA Southwest is a great place, great administration, great employees, the students, and the kids are great. And we're going to have a good time there. And we're going to have a team of high character, high discipline, and high academic standards, and a team that the school can be proud of.
Hey, Marguet, I know this, the moms and dads of these kids, if they're involved, are going to be happy they sent them to you. I know that, brother.
Oh, I told the parents Monday, I said, you're going to sit in the stands and you're going to say, that's my boy. But it's not going to be at the game. It's going to be at graduation because we graduate on the field.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Okay, thanks, Coach. So we're going to close it out here. Want to remind everybody to subscribe to Up on Game Presents on the iHeartRadio podcast, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Rate and review us on about our podcast. Follow us on all social platforms by searching the Up on Game Network, and you can find me on Twitter at rtaylorfbscout. Watch full episodes of this show with Marguet on Taylor Scouting on the Up on Game Network YouTube channel. Just search Up on Game Network. All right. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate you.